Well then, good evening everybody and welcome back to TTTV. This is TTL F1 and this is the Season 13 Classic Cup here at the Brazilian Grand Prix at the circuit. Jose Carlos Pache here at Interlagos at Sao Paulo. Well, tonight obviously we have our Classic Cup which we're driving in the MP4-23. The legendary now McLaren car that brought Lewis Hamilton his first ever World Championship, and as it turned out, the first of many. Now I know some of you are already tuning in. Welcome along, slightly earlier start to the stream, but that's because we've got some exciting news. Obviously we have got the TTG series, obviously the F1 and the F2 series. There's 4 rounds heading into F1 2019. This will be all on F1 2018. Yours truly will be racing in F2. So goodness knows how that's going to turn out. But season 14. Now it has been teased a lot on Twitter about who's going to be driving where. And well, I have everything here. It's all been peeled away for me. So as you probably figured out, Jack, the reigning champion, will be holding on to his Mercedes. He's going to be joined this season by Spike. He's managed to retain his seat after a fantastic runners-up position in last time out. In the Ferrari then, well, it's a promotion from the Haas team up to the Ferrari for Sean. His fourth place finish in the season is enough to earn him a fantastic opportunity to drive for Ferrari. He'll be joined alongside Mays, who finished 5th place in the championship. In the Red Bull then, White has got another move. He's now moving on to Red Bull, having finished off the last season, or the last part of the season, with Haas. He's going to be joined alongside Ollie, who's hoping to try and mount a good championship battle this time around. Then we have, moving from the Force India to the McLaren, Nexus Pursuit. Joining him is Plaster in a full-time seat in that McLaren. Then at Force India we have Lyronix and Dave M. Dave M we saw last time out, getting a good position there for the Mercedes team. Didn't quite prove himself enough, but there's a Mercedes engine in the back of that Force India, or what will be the Racing Point car, of course, because we'll be moving into 2019 when we come around. Then in the Alfa Romeos we have Alan Kay, who's moving from Renault, and also Charlie will be joining him in the Alfa Romeo next season. In the Renaults, 2 new drivers for them, all Portuguese lineup. It's going to be Fate and Naz, both in the Renaults there. In the Haases, the Rich Energy Haas F1 team, of course. We're going to have Recon there, who had a fantastic end to the TTL F1 season. The reigning F2 champ will be taking the Haas alongside 2-time champion Crazy Legs. What a teammate to have as well. The experience of Crazy Legs should be able to help Recon there. We'll have to see how he does in F1 2019. In the Toro Rossos, it's an all-Scottish lineup of Yuzi and Graham. So they'll be hoping to try and prove to Red Bull that they're good enough for the jump up. And then in the Williams, it's going to be George Roberts and Jack Fox, who will be taking up the Williams seat. So that is your F1 2019 lineup, season number 14. And we'll run through it very quickly once again. In the Mercedes, it's Jack and Spike, reigning Constructors champions. In the Ferrari, Sean and Mays. In the Red Bull, Ollie and White. In the McLaren, Pursuit and Plaster. In the Racing Point, Lyronix and Dave M. In the Alfa Romeo, Alan Kay and Charlie. In the Renault, Fate and Naz. In the Haas, Recon and Crazy Legs. In the Toro Rosso, Yuzi and Graham. And then in the Williams, George Roberts and Jack Fox. Well, let us know in the chat. Are you happy with your team? Have you done enough to get to your favourite team? We've got Jack in the chat there saying, let's go Williams. He says, I'm in the place I should be. Well, okay, well... No comment on that one. Anyway, tonight then should be a good one. We have of course, the McLaren MP4-23, the 2008 winning championship car, and well, we couldn't have been doing it in a more dramatic place, in all honesty. Here at the Brazilian Grand Prix, of course, if you remember, cast your mind back 2008, just over 10 years ago now. Goodness, that makes me feel old. I remember watching that race live, and well, I There were tears for sure. I won't tell you which way they went, but there were tears. Yeah, it was one of the most dramatic races I'd ever watched, and you know what? If I could watch that 2008 race all over again, I really, really would. But tonight, the drivers here have a chance to get into these cars. We have some results from practice then. I'm just about to look up them now. But obviously, no no points on the line here, but there is the chance to win that Classic Cup. So we shall be seeing how that all goes down. So the practice results, so 3 times set. We had Dave M setting a 110.4, Alan K 112.2, and George Roberts 112.3. Mesa, I think, in the drivers' chats, put in a 110.9. I think that's what that means anyway. So obviously, as well, there's only one compound of tyre. It's the groove tyre. So we're going back some years. Narrower cars, groove tyres, originally designed back in, I believe, 1990. Oh, someone's going to have to correct me on this one. 1998, I believe, the first groove tyres were introduced in order to try and slow the cars down. They had an 11-year-long reign to try and slow those cars down. And then in 2009, they brought the slick tyres back, and the Brawn car won that season. So, well, I'm looking forward to this. Obviously, I'm ready for the was that Glock moments, but you've all got to do it in the right place with the right camera angle, otherwise I'm not going to accept it. Also, please don't do that. I've made the joke on Twitter. That's where it now goes. Lots of reactions in the chat. Then Alan saying back to the Sauber for me. Well, it's not back to the Sauber. It's back to the Alfa Romeo. Ooh, there you go. And then Jack at the chat they say, can't wait to be 67 seconds behind the next person in my brand new Williams. Someone's told Jack the cars are equal, right? Or is that just him saying he's going to be 67 seconds behind? Who knows? Who knows indeed? But that is the season 14 lineup. I honestly cannot wait for the new cars, the new games. If you've seen the screenshots already, they look absolutely fantastic. I've got to say, it looks a bit... Yeah, the screenshots around Bahrain, they look a bit... I had this word in my head the other day, but I can't quite put my finger on it now. No, can't think of it. No, can't think of it. But it does look really, really good. I just wonder how much of a task it is for my old PS4 to be running it. I mean, I've had this since day one. You know, it's how old is it now? In November, it's gonna be 6 years old. So, bless this little thing. You probably hear it in the background of every single one of my commentaries. That's how hard it's working. It is the fan, which probably has quite a bit of dust in it, but you know, taking it apart is not my forte. You know, and I can tell it's not. It's done a good job. It's lasted longer than in any other console that I've ever had. So, I will give it a pat on the hard drive. There you go. What am I even saying? This is why we start 5 minutes before rather than 10 minutes before. Anyway, hope you're all hyped for season number 14. Of course, we do have the TTG series. Like I said, I'm going to be racing in the F2 series, so I can't wait to be a backmarker for that one. But let's have a look at some of the driver lineups. I won't say any of them for now. But if I have a look at some of these, it looks like it's a good lineup at the moment. 3 spaces free in F1 at the moment. Of course, there are others coming through. And then in F2, looking at my competition, yeah, nearly a full grid there as well. So lots of talented drivers for the sort of mini series as we head towards F1 2019. That will be the last sort of TTL and TTG affiliated championship on this game. So it should be a pretty good one. I'm looking forward to it, getting back behind the wheel, quite literally, actually. So I hope you're all ready for this one as well. One thing I do have to do is upload the thumbnail, so that's something I should probably do. But I've been so hyped in trying to bring you all the championship standings and all of the driver lineups for season 14 that it's completely slipped my mind until this very second. So, of course. But yeah, my live chat seems to have gone for now, so that's encouraging. Oh well, I'm without live chat for a moment whilst I try and upload this thumbnail, but hopefully you're all going to enjoy tonight. Equal cars, the same car. And this is where setups also have to be a little bit refined, because of course you've got narrower cars, you've got the groove tyres, which don't provide as much grip as these slick tyres do, and also the aero package is of course not really as good as the F1 cars of today. So that probably means you might have to run a little bit higher downforce. If not, you know, you're going to have to take the struggles of there being less grip in these cars, and also a little bit less top speed. And the fact is there's only 7 gears in these cars rather than 8. So this is going to be a good one. I know it. I can feel it. But what's the weather going to be like as we head towards the first and the only qualifying session? I don't know why I said the first qualifying session, but there we go then. So it is dry qualifying session. And as you can see, there is only one tyre compound. It's the dry tyre, and it should be interesting to see what people will do. Now, there are some tracks that you can do you can zero stop in the race. I believe at Monaco in these cars you can no stop in a race. Not sure about Brazil though. Should be interesting to see what goes on there. But I do hear a McLaren firing up, that V8 engine firing into life. So who's going to be first out onto track then? As we see some movement in the garage closest to us, as one of the head engineers gets ready to go, and it's Dave M making his way out of the pit lane, and he has to hold up there for another one coming out of the pit lane. Now, this is where it can get a little bit difficult. 12 cars looking exactly the same. I've got to specifically look for lid design as they now make their way through the pit lane. Very narrow, very tight pit lane. Not only that, but they've also got to just keep on their toes then as they make their way out of the pit lane entrance. And it is Ollie who is first out onto the track. And the man from Jersey has got his wheel fixed, it looks like. Full lock into turn 4 there as he's warming up the tyres then, making his way all the way up the hill now towards turn 6. And yeah, the man from Jersey is back tonight and looking to put some laps under his belt then. Finished 3rd place overall in the championship. Of course, he missed out on the final few races for the season because of wheel issues. Now he's back though, as he's now heading in towards turn 10. Now I wonder if we're going to be seeing any 109 lap times, I wonder. But now we head with Ollie then on towards turn 12. And then there's the 3 left-handers of 13, 14 and 15 as he makes his way up the hill now through Junsao and towards the start-finish line then to start the first flying lap in these McLarens then. Let's run on board with Ollie then as he makes his way towards the first turn then. On towards turn 1 then, the banking goes down towards the left. Very easy to lock up the tyres then as you make your way through the centre S through turn 2 and then making the way now around turn 3 all the way now towards turn 4. The run down towards it. That can be tricky then as we now got to try and find that brake marker board, that 50-metre board on the right hand side. Now making our way now through turn 5 and all the way up the hill through turn 6. It gets very narrow on the entry then. Fire the car through in towards turn 6, through turn 7 now and into the braking zone of turn 8. Look out for that curve on the left hand side. Then you want to come towards turn 9. You can drop down to first gear as Ollie has done. Back up to second, we loosen that back end slightly then as we make our way now towards turn 10. The car squealing there as the rear tyres try to find some grip. Now coming down towards turn 11 and on towards the braking zone of turn 12. The final braking zone of the track then. You can use a little bit of that grass on the right hand side. It's almost like AstroTurf as we now make our way now through 12, 13, 14 and 15. And what is the time going to be then from Ollie as he makes his way towards the line? Of course, no DRS in these cars. What can Ollie do then as he makes his way across the line? So 110.5 from Ollie then as he makes his way towards turn 1. And that is the time to beat then Dave M, 110.9. And making his way now through turn 2. Let's have a look at some others on a lap then. Crazy Legs looks like he's on a lap then as he makes his way through the final couple of corners. And what's the time? He'll be able to set there as he makes his way towards the line. Crosses that line thought to start a new fly lap. My apologies. That won't be the first time, and it will never be the last time. You know me by now. Graham then 111.5, George Ox 113.9. We've got Plaster who's on an outlap right now, making his way through the final corner. Let's have a look at Crazy Legs then as he makes his way now down towards turn 4. Like it's nice and controlled through there as we make our way now up the hill towards turn 6. And taking it nice and smooth through there then. Just wants to set some sort of banker lap to begin with. And running a little bit wide into turn 8 there. Now making his way through turn 9. Of course these blue cars, like I've said, do provide less grip. It's all about the control here. Trying to get the balance of the car absolutely spot on. As we go slightly onto the grass there with Crazy there. As he makes his way now on towards turn 12. And now making his way up the hill now. Through 13, 14 and 15. The sound of those V8s roaring here as they make their way now on towards the start-finish line. Crazy then, what can he set? It's 1:13.3. Lighty meanwhile 1:10.6 from the German then, as he makes his way now down the hill towards turn 2. We've got Sean there on a flying lap. Obviously he knows tonight he'll be racing for Ferrari next season, so I'm sure he'll be delighted with that one. And Ferrari, who want a bit more stability than they had last season round, they'll be hoping for that with their new lineup of talented drivers. It is of course Sean and Mays. As Sean makes his way now in towards turn 12. Big pressure now comes with Sean. As you can hear the backfire through the upshifts. Fantastic to hear as Sean now makes his way towards the line. Dave Emily 1:10.4. As now Sean makes his way across the line 1:10.558. And that is only 0.03 of a second shy of Ollie then. That puts himself into 3rd place. So 12 drivers here tonight then. As they now make their way now down towards turn 4. Who are you backing to win the race tonight then, I wonder? Of course you'll have different setups running out there. These dry tyres are very, very durable. So they will be pretty much balanced performance throughout their entire stint. Maybe you might lose at most half a second off your best lap time. So there's not really a cliff as such with these tyres. It's more trying to just manage them and get the best performance out of them you can for the longest possible time. Don't be too shocked then to see drivers sort of pit in around the halfway mark, so around about lap 18, to just split that strategy in half. Maybe lap 17 as well. Recon in the chat then saying Dave is quick with the classic car on this track. He's backing him for the win. Well, Dave M currently on provisional pole position, 1:10.4 from him in the McLaren MP4-23 as he makes his way down towards the pit lane then. Lots of different liveries, obviously. There's Spike then in a striking green lid then. You can't miss him as he makes his way now up the hill. I'm sure he'll be relieved to hear that he's kept his Mercedes seat. He did finish runner-up in the last season and he'll be now pushing on to try and well, I don't know, will he try and disrupt his teammate next season of Jack? I wonder. Let's see if we can have some porridge. I back him for next season. We've got a car off there, just in the infield. Who is that, I wonder? Couldn't tell you, I'm afraid. Oh, it's Alan Kay. Alan Kay's just taking a little bit of a detour. I think he was just getting out of the way of some of the other cars out there. He's already done a lap then, a 1:13.0. That's not the quickest time he's done in practice, I don't believe. He's gotten to the 1:12s. So he'll be hoping for a quicker lap time as he makes his way up the hill. And there's Spike then, 1:10.2 from Spike down towards turn 1. So 2/10 quicker now than Dave M. And of course with these cars it's very difficult to extract that performance in the dying seconds. But as this track will develop, obviously there will be a chance here for the drivers to get back out there, get on a new set of tyres and see if they can go again. Track always improves. It will keep improving for the rest of the session. Yuji then confirmed for Toro Rosso next season. He makes his way now towards the start finish line. What can he do? It's a 1:11.4 from the Scotsman and puts him now up into 6th place. So decent lap time from him. But he's 8/10 slower than Lighty in front of him. So he's got a bit of time to find, but of course still over 9 minutes left of this session. Spike then is on provisional pole position. Sean, meanwhile, 1:10.3 by the way, puts himself into 2nd place. That's Dave M in 3rd, 1:10.4. Ollie in 4th, 1:10.5. Lighty in 5th, 1:10.6. As Spike makes his way now towards the pit lane. as Sean makes his way now up the hill. I wonder if he's going to come back to the pit lane now. Making his way now through the final couple of corners. And yep, he does come back to the pit lane. And Alan's wondering who took out the brake marker board on the last corner. Well, I can say now, Alan, it wasn't me. Well, that's going to catch a couple of the drivers out, actually. All jokes aside, they'll have to find a new reference point and a new braking point to try and brake for the corner. I'm trying not to laugh. That is actually quite funny. I know some of the drivers won't appreciate it, but there you go. So then, just over 8 minutes to go then in the session, and you can see their Spike is on pole position. There is the man from Jersey then. And make his way now pretty slowly then. And actually off track then. As UC's now retired from the session. He thinks he's done all he can. As he is currently in 6th place. Lighty then in 5th. Looking to just try and make a little bit of a gap then. You'll notice on the bottom right hand corner that there's no ERS, there's no DRS, there's nothing like that. We're going old school. So nothing like that. It is pure driver talent here, and also the fuel mix as well. The fuel mix is the only adjustable thing you can have in the car. That and the brake bias, that's pretty much it. You can try and stiffen up the diff or loosen it up during the session, but apart from that, that's really it. As that Lighty runs a little bit wide on the exit of turn 3, then on the run now down towards turn 4. Spike's saying I'm a little quiet, so maybe I'll try speaking louder. The only thing I don't want to do is peak the mic, but yeah, over these roaring engines, I might have a bit of trouble speaking over it. But let's have a look then as Lighty makes his way through turn 6 and then through turn 7. On the run now towards turn 8. Obviously, we've got yellow flags in sectors 2 and 3, but that's probably just some drivers getting out of the way. As Lighty there runs a little bit wide, I think that's him saying his lap is over, and that's Crazy Legs who's retired from the session. He's actually crashed out as Crazy Legs, so 11th place, 1:13.3. There's Maze then, 1:10.6. So he's already gone quicker than he did in practice there. So that'll do it for Maze. He's up to 6th place now. I wonder what he's going to be doing or where he's going to be going. He'll probably go out for one more run. It's pretty rare to see Maze that early on, but oh, there's Ollie there who's run out of fuel completely and is currently trundling around at 25 miles per hour or 25 kph. That's even slower. So well, let's hope he can get it back to the pit lane, and he's starting to build up some revs. It's some revs at least, as he slowly makes his way back towards the pit lane. He'll come into the picture any second now. Where is he? There he is. Here he comes, trundling through, down towards the pit lane. And there you can see there, the yellow flags are there to cover him as he trundles his way through. He is the quickest person out on track at 1:10.1. I just invite people to try and go for that 1:09. Down towards turn 9 goes Spike. This is someone who can try and grab that pole position away. Currently on a lap here. It's not an out lap, I can tell you that right now, but what it is Spike building up for this next lap as he makes his way down towards turn 12. You can see there he's using that little bit of AstroTurf on the right hand side, made to look like grass, but not really, as Spike now makes his way up the hill through Junsao and in towards the final corner. Of course, you can use part of that pit lane entrance as the racing line as he makes his way up towards the start finish line. This is a lap then with Spike then as we head down towards turn 1, braking just as the grass starts there. A little bit of a lock up there on the front left hand side. So you can see that Spike running a little bit deep in towards turn 2. That can really spoil a lap time. It can invalidate it too as he makes his way now down towards turn 4. He's still going on with this lap then. Braking just after the 50 metre board, and that's Spike catching the grass then, and around he goes. So that then is Spike's lap over. He'll be able to get it back to the pit lane. He's got enough time, but he'll be really frustrated with that one. Just caught the grass on the entry into turn 5 there. Turn 4, and just spun the car around completely. So that'll be that set of tyres gone, and he'll be hoping now to get it back to the pits and go again. Rare mistake to see from Spike. We normally see maybe a little bit of a lock-up or running too deep into a corner, but completely losing the back end like that. It just shows you that these cars are much lighter than their successors, I should say. Much lighter. You're looking at around about 800 it's about 850 kilos compared to the cars today, which are close to 1,000, maybe even exceeding it as well. So these cars are a little bit lighter, so that ballast comes into play there. Where is Dave M then, making his way in towards turn 10. And now on the run down towards turn 11 and then into the braking zone of turn 12. We've already had one driver back in Dave M as he makes his way now around the final corner and now coming up the hill. He's got turn 12. Is this then Dave M coming into the pits? It looks like it, because you can see bottom right hand corner he hasn't got enough fuel to go for another lap, so he comes into the pits then. And that speed limit line of 80 kph might catch a couple of the drivers out then. Here's Graham going now down towards turn 4. And you can see there, can he get his braking zone right then? Braking all the way down from 307 kph, using that curve on the right hand side there to get the best possible exit out of the corners. He makes his way now up towards turn 6. Flying through then in towards turn 7. And it's all about just getting these markers right. It's all about just keeping that car stable and keeping yourself stable as well. As we make our way now towards turn 10 with Graham. He makes his way now in towards turn 11, then through turn 12. Working hard for it then. And got to get this exit right. As we now head through the left-handers, all full throttle from here. And what will the time be from Graham then as he heads towards the start-finish line? Can he better his lap time? It's 1:10.7, half a second quicker. But it actually doesn't get him any further up the grid, which will be a huge shame for him there. But it is a better time, 1:10.7. Will he have time to go back out for another lap? Mays then has retired from the qualifying session. He's in 6th place. There's someone who's come out of the pits. That is Sean then, who's currently in 3rd place, looking to try and better that one. So, Ollie currently on provisional pole position with just over 1 minute and 40 seconds to go. Then Ollie goes on to a flying lap now as he makes his way now down towards turn 1. In fact, he's not on a flying lap. I think what he's doing here is 2 out laps, if you like. So he's willing to just run those tyres a little bit more and a little bit longer in order to really get the best out of those tyres. He wants another lap of warming those tyres, warming those brakes. Meanwhile then Spike, well, he'll really only have one chance here. He's already spun on 1 lap and ruined it. But you can see there Spike, he knows, he probably doesn't actually know that's Ollie ahead of him. However, he'll keep his distance. Sean then is coming towards the start finish line now, and he will be one of the first to set a lap time out of this top 5 then. Can Sean get any better then as we head now down towards turn 1, braking hard for it. Looks like it's much more in control there through turn 2 and then through turn 3 there. Beautiful set of corners there. That car looks like it's really hooked up to that first section as he runs now down towards turn 4. He's got a car ahead of him that's probably on a flying lap as well, as that's Graham out there. So Sean then making his way now through turn 5 and up the hill now towards turn 6. Alan Kay retires from the session. He'll be starting from 11th place then. Sean making his way now through turn 7 and now towards turn 8. He has got Graham ahead of him, but if Graham's on a flying lap and Graham gets out of the way there, right onto the grass, so no problem for Sean then as he now runs up towards turn 10, braking hard. Not using that curve on the inside, interestingly, as he now runs down through turn 11 and on towards turn 12. Got to find that braking marker, which isn't there anymore, so that's going to be making it a little bit more difficult. Sean now running up the hill as he now goes through the left-handers from here. It's all full throttle now. And can he get any quicker than his 1:10.3? Can he put himself onto the front row of the grid? Can he put himself on pole position? Here comes Sean towards the line then. It's a 1:10.257. He misses out by 0.02 of a second. Spike there going through turn 9, but he's lost the back end. And that will probably be lap time over, and Spike knows that as well. Dave M now making his way now out of turn 12 and now coming towards the start finish line. Where is Lighty? He's now coming down towards turn 8. Here comes Dave M towards the line, 4th place right now as he makes his way towards that start finish line. Can he get any better? 1:10.135. Dave M, provisional pole position right now. Here comes Ollie towards the line. Can he better that? It's a 1:09.9. Ollie then, provisional pole position for him now. It's just swapping and changing. Here comes Lighty then, making his way through the final corners. Lighty's though 2 tenths down through sector 2. He's going to have to try and make it up all through that final sector then. He now makes his way towards the start finish line, does he? Yet he manages to go there. And, well, he tries to crash out off the qualifying session then as he comes across the line. That is Lighty then finishing in 5th place this qualifying session. But Ollie then, the man from Jersey, on pole position with a 109.9. Let's have a look at the full qualifying results then, which will just be on your screens in a couple of minutes' time. Hopefully a couple of seconds, actually. If it was a couple of minutes, I'd be severely worried. But here they are then. Ollie on pole position, 109.9, with Dave M in second. 2/10 off, exactly. Then it's Spike in third, who's 3/10 off exactly. Obviously had that one run at the start. Sean in fourth then. Lighty in 5th, Mays in 6th, Graham in 7th, Uzi 8th, Plaster in 9th, George Roberts rounding out the top 10, Alan Kay then in 11th, and Crazy Legs will start in 12th place. So that's your grid then for the Classic Cup. One of these people will be walking away with the Classic Cup trophy of season 13. And I agree, Recon, it was a fun qualifying session. Spike saying these cars just don't handle, very odd. Interesting you say that, Spike, because obviously these cars have less aero than their successors, so it's a little bit understandable actually, but yeah, it should be an interesting one, that is for sure. Obviously not as much grip as everybody expects, but a little bit more grip than everyone expects. If that makes any sense at all, send me a postcard. But anyway, looks like it's going to be dry for the race then, so this should be good. That's what we want, dry racing. And let us know then who you think is going to win this race. Who do you think is going to be crowned the Classic Cup winner of season number 13? Of course, this was supposed to happen all the way back in the mid-season, but with PSN problems, it was moved to the end of the season. But let's see who can master these MP4-23s. We know one man who mastered the MP4-23. He went on to become the 2008 champion in this car. But as they make their way now on towards turn 1, and that's Ollie already losing it into the wall there. Well, that's what the groove tyres are there for then. They don't provide as much grip as you think there. And he does a little bit of a donut to get himself back around. So a little bit embarrassing then from Ollie then. So Dave M will lead the pack now down towards turn 4. But of course he will not be starting on pole position, as Dave M then has already taken out a brake marker. I doubt Alan Kay will be too pleased with him there, as Dave M now runs up towards turn 6. So then, let us know then who is going to win the Classic Cup. Who's going to be walking home with it. But Dave M here in second place will be looking to try and make it a win here with Ollie then, as he is now at the back of the grid. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Obviously he will be starting on pole position, of course he will. However, he's at the back now, and in normal conditions, if Ollie can't get his way back up towards the start and the front of the grid by, I think it's sector 3, then he has to start from the pit lane or from the back of the grid. So he's lucky then that hasn't transpired the way it has. However, we head now towards the grid then for the Classic Cup here at Interlagos at the Sao Paulo circuit. I'm looking forward to this one. I hope you are too. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel as well. Click the notification bell so you're notified every time we go live. A perfect way to round off the season in these MP4-23s. Lewis Hamilton won at this very circuit his first World Championship. I wonder who's going to walk away the Classic Cup winner here. Sponsored by WeakWiFiSolutions.com and A Logo as well, providing all the graphics for the series. We're almost ready to go here at Interlagos as we count up to the 5 red lights here in Sao Paulo. The Classic Cup is underway, and what are the starts like? Looks like it's a good start from Spike there as he jumps on to third place instantly there as we now head down towards turn 1. It's a terrible start for Ollie then. He's all the way down to 6th place already as we head through the centre S's. Now he's on the outside battling with Yuzi as that's a car off in the background. That looks like it was Plaster then as he drops now down towards 12th place. He's still on the track, still at the back of that pack then as we make our way now down towards turn 4, and it's a lot of hard work to do for Ollie then as he's currently battling with Yuzi then. He's recovered back up to P5 at the moment. But it's going to be a lot of hard work for Ollie now to try and get back up to where he was. It was a terrible, terrible start with the man from Jersey. That's Lighty getting up to 7th place then. Graham now coming in towards turn 8, now trying to go around the outside of turn 9. He's got to be careful of that grass. George Roberts now holding on to 8th place on the run up towards turn 10. Then you can see Dave M in the lead of this one, Sean in 2nd, Spike in 3rd, and you can see there that is Crazy Legs now trying to put some pressure on Graham on the run through turn 11 and on towards turn 12. Now refueling in these cars was perfectly legal back in the day. However, these cars have got to make it to the end on the fuel they started on as per current rules. As Dave M makes his way towards the start finish line, you've got Mays there on the back of Spike looking to try and make it in towards turn 1. He's going to have to go round the outside. Spike parks it on the apex there, but Mays is looking for some sort of switchback here. He's got to be careful from Ollie behind as they make their way now through turn 3 and on the run now down towards turn 4. No DRS of course for the entirety of this race. They run down towards turn 4 and that is Ollie on the inside of Mays then heading into turn 4, and Ollie gets up now to 4th position. Still a long, long way to go in this race then, of course. 36 laps here at Interlagos still to go. George Roberts, meanwhile, behind Graham. And you've also got Alan Kay trying to battle away with Blaster then as he makes his way now through 7 and on towards turn 8 now. Meanwhile, Sean up to 2nd place now. And if we have a look at the details there, you can see the position changes. The biggest loser is Ollie. It was a dramatic start from him. It just looked like the car didn't pull away. Almost it went into anti-stall, and he had to just do his best to recover then. He's dropped 3 places. 3 drivers have gone up 2 places. So Sean is up to 2nd place starting from 4th. Yuzi is up to 6th place from 8th. And Crazy Legs, who started at the back of the grid, he's now up to 10th place. Dave M then setting the fastest lap of the race, 1:12.3, as they all head now down towards turn 1, riding on board now with Sean. Let's have a look at some battles behind. You've got Lighty here in 7th place, dropped 2 positions from his starting position. And now he's in the slipstream of Yuzi as they make their way now down towards turn 4. He'll have the slipstream here. Will he turn up the engine mix, I wonder? He's closing on Yuzi as Lighty makes his way now down towards turn 4. Can't quite get the move done, but now as they run through and up the hill towards turn 6, obviously it gets very narrow here through turn 6. And I wonder here, as all the HUD's gone, I pressed the wrong button and there's no going back from there. As you can see, Lighty still trying to close that gap. Watch out for Yuzi ahead though as well, as he'll be hoping to try and make some ground on the car ahead. That's Mays, currently in 5th place. So 3rd lap of this race then. Normally DRS would be activated, but of course these cars don't have it, so we're not having any of that. If you're going to make an overtake, it has to be with the slipstream, and it has to be through that driving talent then. Blaster, meanwhile, trying to trace down Crazy Legs then, as we make our way now. Oh, Crazy Legs has lost it. He's just about kept control though, out of turn 12, but he'll lose that 10th place he had and fall all the way now down to 12th. But look at this now, closing in on Alan Kay, even with a compromised exit. He might have a look here down towards turn 1, up the inside of Alan Kay then. And as we see them now go through, yet Crazy Legs is up a position, just had much more top speed there. And he's managed to get the position away. Meanwhile, Lighty chasing down Yuzi then as we head through turn 5 on up the hill now towards turn 6. Lighty is looking for a way past, but can he try and find it now as we head through turn 7 and now on towards turn 8 then. A couple of battles to be watching here. You're watching this one between Yuzi and Lighty. But you've also got Crazy Legs and Alan Kay to keep looking out for as well. So the man in, the German here, looking to try and find some sort of way past. As we head now down towards turn 12. Looking to try and keep it all together now as we head up the hill through the left-handers here. And now let's have a look then. Does he have the slipstream to try and find a way past Yuzi? You can see there, 314, 315 kph into the braking zone here. And of course, without that DRS, it doesn't give you that extra top speed. You have to solely rely on that slipstream as we now make our way through turn 3 and on the run now down towards turn 4. Dave M still leads then here on lap 5 with Sean in 2nd place. That is Spike in 3rd, Ollie in 4th, Mays in 5th, and that is Lighty getting away past Yuzi then. Typical. The moment I cut away from the battle to try and go through the field, that's when the overtake happens. But Lighty then is up to 6th place. He's just got to try and keep it away from Yuzi for a bit as we make our way now up the hill towards turn 10. His next target, Lighty, is Maze in 5th place. On the run through turn 11 and then towards turn 12. Looks like Lighty here has a job on his hands if he wants to try and recover. He did qualify in 5th place, remember. But when will these pit stops happen? I'm expecting between lap 16 and lap 20 for the pit stops to happen. It's going to be a one stop, I know that much. Ollie then sets the fast lap of the race, a 1:12.2. As Dave M there picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That can only be for track limits there. You can see there, Yuzi confirmed for Toro Rosso next season. We'll be hoping that he can impress his bosses at Red Bull as well. As we run now down towards turn 4, looking to try and put some pressure on Lighty ahead of him. Meanwhile, Ollie confirmed once again in the Red Bull, so he'll be sticking where he is for now. But look at this now, he's trying to chase down Spike on the run up now towards turn 10. Now this could be, we normally see it in the Classic Cups and the Challenge Cups towards the end of the season, in between seasons. You can sort of tell who's going to be the championship rivals for next season. And Dave M here is looking like he's going to try and lead the field here. Of course, he is driving for the Racing Point car next season. So he'll be hoping here that he's got a good run. And he'll have the car behind him to try and get the lap times done, because a 1:12.1 there from Dave puts himself in firm position here. 1.2 ahead of Sean as we now head through the centre S's with the top 4 then. Can Ollie try and make some more inroads to try and close down on Spike? Well, Sean they're running in 2nd place, Maze running in 5th. Ferrari were liking those signs so far. And Maze has earned his seat through consistency, just consistently in the points wherever he finished. And Sean, meanwhile, even more consistent, managed to finish 4th place in the in season 13. So really, really impressive from him. And it looks like if he can turn up to most of the races next season, he'll be in a really good position to try and challenge for a top 3 placing. That's his next target. And you can really see how much he's improved throughout this season alone. Just been really consistent, got 3 podiums in season 13. He'll be hoping with the Ferrari backing that he could get even more podiums. We'll have to wait and see. Lighty then has been doing a good job at closing down on Maze then. As we make the run towards the start-finish line, Dave M is just consistently setting those laps. So Spike beats it though, a 1:12.0. Lighty then trying to close on Maze. You can see with that slipstream running down towards turn 1. He does close on that gap just a little bit, but this is what it takes. It takes a lot of patience here to try and close in on the car ahead. You've got to really be consistent with your lives. As we now make the run down towards turn 4. You see then Maze is under pressure now from the German behind him. Lighty looking to apply that pressure up the hill now through turn 6. Obviously it's a little bit narrow there, and Lighty runs a little bit wide on the entry at 6. And that compromises entry just slightly as we head through turn 8. Now down the hill towards turn 9, and then you're uphill on the exit. Graham then 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. On the run up now towards turn 10. And then we're going to be going down the hill through 11 and then through turn 12. Lighty still 0.6 of a second behind Maze here. Looks like Maze has got it covered through the corners. It's just on the straight there where Lighty has the slipstream. He's able to try and close the gap. Ollie then 1:11.9. First lap into the 1:11s as he looks to try and make inroads to try and find a way past Spike. 0.6 of a second it is right now. We're watching Lighty trying to chase down Maze as we head through turn 2. And it'll be around turn 3. Maze runs a little bit wide on the exit of the centre S's. And look at Lighty. This is a perfect opportunity to try and really put that pressure on. Down towards turn 4 we go. Right on his gearbox now. We're just going to cut onto Ollie here, who is now right behind Spike as well. And that is also Sean right ahead of them too. Running on board with Lighty then. He's got a much better entry in towards turn 6. And now towards turn 8 here. Lighty again just putting that pressure on Maze. As he now make our way through turn 9. Up the hill then through turn 10. As Lighty runs wide there, that's going to cost him a lot of time. Ollie then on the run now through in towards turn 12. Up the hill we go. And he'll be looking to try and take advantage of that slipstream then. On the run up. And what can he do then? Can he try and find that way past Spike, I wonder? Looks like he's got good amount of speed here, but it's all different as we now head towards turn 1. And of course, you're just reaching the limits of the revs there as you head towards turn 1. You really need to try and be alongside, try and take advantage of that Spike, then picking up a 3-second time penalty. That'll be added to the end of his race. As we see now, Ollie coming down towards turn 4. We've got yellow flags in sector 3. And that's Alan Kay who's around in the final couple of corners. And he'll be just trying to recover then. Mays then, meanwhile, is now under extreme pressure from Lighty. Now they're running side by side on the run up towards turn 6. Lighty's going to be around the outside here. They'll try and use the grip there to try and keep it around the outside still. They run side by side on the run towards turn 8 there. A little bit of contact made then. I thought Lighty turned it a little bit too early there. He thought he had that move done. On the run now towards turn 10. Mays has the inside line. Lighty on the outside. And again here you can see they're leaving each other in space. And then Lighty just oversteers. Tries to correct the mistake. But goes into the side of Mays then. Inadvertently of course. But Lighty has the move done. And he moves now up to 5th place. With Mays dropping to 6th. But Mays will have the slipstream then. Heading through the left-handers. Yellow flags in sector 2 then. Which have quickly disappeared. Running on board with Mays then, as we run now towards turn 1. Lighty is defending as much as he can, and George Roberts is out of this race then. So he's gone off. You can see the yellow flags coming up now. And where has he gone off then? Can't quite see it just yet. We've got more yellow flags coming down towards turn 12, and that is George Roberts there. So I thought that car was still moving, so he must have made a mistake and just decided enough's enough. He'll pack it up for today then, which is a shame then for George Roberts, but we'll be looking to see him next season. There you can see the battle for 5th place at the moment, and run down towards turn 9. Looks like we've got some good battles developing across the field. Dave M leads then on lap number 11 with Sean in 2nd. Spike then is in 3rd with Ollie in 4th. Lighty 5th. Mays in 6th. Yuzi 7th. Graham in 8th. Plus a 9th. Crazy in 10th. And Alan Kay is running in 11th place with George Roberts, our only retirement from the race so far. Let's have a look at them as they head through. On the run now towards turn 1. And there you can see George Roberts has left the session then. So Spike, meanwhile, is closing in on Sean. And you can see there, Spike's got a lot more speed then, heading down towards turn 4. And already Spike is running low on fuel. Already he's trying to balance his fuel now so that he can have enough for the end of the race. But Spike here has found another gear here. As we now head through 6, through 7. And now on towards turn 8 then. Already got a 3-second time penalty, of course. As we see now running up towards turn 10. You can see there Spike still applying the pressure, but you can see Ollie in the background there also trying to apply some pressure as well. As the man from Jersey there gets a little bit squirrely in towards turn 11 there, and he's lost that time he gained all along that lap then. Spike trying to get a good exit out of turn 12. It's imperative that you do then, as we now see Spike closing in on Sean then on the run towards turn 1. He's a little bit closer this time around, but will he try and move into turn 1 then? No, he thinks better of it. And Sean stays ahead though, but Sean can feel the pressure then on the run in towards the centre S. Is now coming through turn 3. As we now head down towards turn 4. And again, Sean going defensive. He knows that he has to go defensive there to try and really... Well, he has to go defensive. That's all we can say about that one. And now as we head through in towards turn 7, now coming towards turn 8 then, Spike will want to try and get past Sean, of course. You only get added to the honours list if you win this race, and that is the key thing. It's a chance to get onto the honours list of TTL forever. So at the moment, Dave M is in prime position to do that. As we see Spike there, just getting a little bit of a tail out of turn 10 there. didn't seem to lose him too much time as we now run through turn 12. On the run now through the final couple of corners. You can see there's Sean. I think he's just doing enough to stay ahead now. That's all he needs to do. But Spike here closing in with the slipstream. On the run towards turn 1, and Ollie has a 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane, so that's going to be added to the end of his race. But Ollie then is into the pits, first person into the pits, so Spike runs a little bit onto the curbs there, in through turn 3, and that's not going to help him at all there. So as you can see, the only information that really helps here is the age of the tyres. There goes Ollie then out of the pit lane, very narrow pit lane, very easy to get it wrong, as we now head through the pit lane with Ollie then. Looks like he's going to rejoin in 8th place, which he does. So the man from Jersey then has made his one and only stop quite early actually on lap 13, and he's hoping here that these fresh tyres can get him the undercut that he needs to gain a couple of positions. Spike then meanwhile on the run now in towards turn 12. Now going up the hill. You can see he's losing a little bit of time to Sean now. So who will be next to pit in? They'll probably have seen that Ollie has come into the pits, but they're all electing to stay out then now. Lighty there running in 4th place at the moment. Opts to short shift at the moment. I wonder if that's just to save a little bit of fuel here as we now head down towards turn 1. Mays then riding on board. Currently in 5th place at the moment. We'll be looking forward to his Ferrari drive next season. Of course, with the bigger team comes the bigger pressure. A lot more pressure at Ferrari than at Renault to try and finish in good positions. Faster then picking up a 3-second time penalty. That'll be added to the end of his race. Lap 15 of 36 here in Sao Paulo, and Dave M still leads here, 3.5 seconds ahead from Sean, who is in 2nd. Spike there is in 3rd place. We're riding on board with him now as he looks to still try and close that gap to Sean on the run through turn 11 and then towards turn 12. It's going to be difficult for Spike here to try and find that way past. Sean is proving that he's got the car here. He's got it set up right as we now run through turns 13, 14 and 15 then. As you can see there, some of the drivers use the pit lane entrance as a little bit of a racing line, but Spike then fastest lap of the race, 1:11.7 then. That's currently the A logo fastest lap of the race as he looks to try and close in on Sean once again. He knows now he's got the pace in that car. Now I wonder how Ollie's lap times are getting on as we now head down towards turn 4, and there's the man in question then, 1:11.6 then from Ollie. And if we have a look at the fastest laps then you can see they're only a 10th quicker than Spike at the moment. This is what I'm saying about these tyres. They do last quite a long time, and with the performance still intact too, as Blaster now comes into the pits. We make our way now in through turn 9 and now towards turn 10. Lighty with a 3-second time penalty that will be added to the end of his race. Now through turn 11 and on towards turn 12. Still running on board with Spike then, looking to try and close that gap. Spike loses that back end slightly through the final braking zone, and that is going to cost him so much time down the straight. All that time he gained on the lap before is all going to be gone now as Spike then comes in on lap 16. Dave M is also in, race leader into the pits then. So then on go another set of dry tyres, and he's held in the pits by Spike then before he's allowed to go, so that's going to be a little bit of advantage then to Ollie. Where is Ollie then? He's now coming through the start finish straight then. Where is Dave M? He's now making his way down the pit lane exit. Again, Ollie 1:11.6. So there is Ollie there going through the centre S's. It's going to be close between himself and Spike then as we make our way towards the pit lane exit. There is Spike there who rejoins behind Ollie. So Ollie then has made the undercut work on Spike, but it hasn't worked on Dave M. I'll tell you what though, he's closer than he was to Dave M before. But remember, he's got that 5-second stop go that will be added to the end of his race. That means then Sean goes into the lead of the race, and surely he'll be stopping quite soon then. Lap 17 should be quite soon into the pit lane. Lighty is in 2nd, 9.6 behind Sean. There is Spike in 7th place, 6/10 behind Ollie. So he's got to do this battling again This time he's got Ollie ahead of him, who's pitted. He's on fresh tyres, just like Spike here. But they're 3 lap older tyres there for Ollie. Lighty then comes into the pits from 2nd place, as does Mace from 3rd, as does Yuzi from 4th. So that means Dave M is going to jump them all then, and he'll now go up to 2nd place. Ollie then 1:11.4. Now that really is the fastest lap of the race so far. 0.2 faster than his previous attempt, so he's now just trying to look to keep his head down and really now recover from what has not been the greatest start he's ever had. But he's now running in 3rd place, now looking to try and chase down Dave M. 1.5 the gap now. So once again on the honours list at the moment. He was telling us next season the target is the championship. So he'll want to be pushing for that one, and winning the Classic Cup here would pay dividends in the long run. It really can build to your momentum towards the end of the season. Sean's still out there then on these sets of tyres. What's his strategy here then? It's to pit in at the exact halfway point then. So lap 18, Sean comes into the pits. So Dave M should be able to retake the lead of the race. Sean making his way now down the pit lane. It's a long way down. But then on goes some more dry tyres. The only dry tyres you can have are the dries, funnily enough. Dave M now making his way towards turn 1. Ollie then 1:11.2 from Ollie. He is really going for it now. There is Sean now coming through the pit lane. And Ollie is a man on a mission right now. There is Sean then. Looks like he's going to rejoin ahead of Spike. It looks like it's actually going to be very, very close then on the run now. Down towards turn 4. Spike is going to be on the outside. Heading into turn 4. And Sean then lets him go. So Spike moves up a position then. And finally, he's got that move done. It was a move he's been trying to get done for so long. But he's finally done it now. Up to 3rd place he goes. Watch out for Ollie as well. He is driving the wheels off that car right now to try and recover. Remember, he's got that 5-second penalty. Others around him do have penalties, but not to the extent that Ollie has. So we've got to watch out for that one as well. So Ollie, with that 5-second penalty, is just going to be pushing as hard as he possibly can. But Spike is in trouble. Now, has he lost that all on his own? Through turn 10 there. Happened off screen, so, well, I'm not entirely sure. But Spike then is struggling out there. Now, all the way down to 4th place now. 3.5 seconds off the pace. Remarkable there as Ollie sets yet another fastest lap of the race. Compare that now to Dave M ahead of him, who set a 1:11.6 as his best. Now Ollie picks up another 3-second time penalty. That is the last thing he wanted. He's already got that 5-second stop go. So he's got to be a little more careful. He's got to keep it within the white lines. There's Alan Kay coming out of the pits in the background there. He's already a lap down. 17 laps to go, and Ollie here will be hoping to get past Dave M and then just build the gap towards the end of this race. That's all he can do. And with a penalty, it's always frustrating because then you're not in control of your own destiny. You're then relying on other people to either make a mistake or pick up some penalties. And that is never a good scenario to be in. Oh, as Ollie's lost the back end completely! Into the wall he goes! Out of turn 10, and the man from Jersey's lost a huge chunk of that front wing on the left-hand side. And that's going to put Spike back up onto the podium. All on his own. The rear tyres just were not gripping anymore. So Ollie now has to make his way back towards the pit lane. That front wing is taking a big amount of damage on the left-hand side. So Ollie will have to come back. So that means he'll have to serve his 5-second stop go now, which is going to be even longer for the man from Jersey. But he'll now come into the pit lane, far from over of course, as Sean picks up a 3-second time penalty. So into the pit lane Ollie goes. And yeah, that front wing is going to be changed by the McLaren crew, and Ollie has actually retired from the session altogether, so it's just a bit of pit stop practice for the McLaren crew. They weren't going to stop they weren't serving that 5-stop, probably because Ollie was retired from the session anyway. But that is the man from Jersey out of the Classic Cup then. Such a shame losing that back end out of turn 10, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So Dave M then still leads on lap 21. We have 16 laps to go, 15 and a bit if you're picky, as he makes his way now down towards turn 12. And yeah, that is Ollie in the chat there just saying shame. And it is, just losing that back end. lighting up those rears, and from then on he was heading straight to the scene of the accident. Dave M then will cross the line. He'll start lap 22. 15 laps to go here in Brazil, and Dave M has a comfortable 4.7 lead. That is Sean in second place, looking to show Ferrari why they signed him now. Spike then is in third place, and he's made a mistake in this race already, as he looks to push that car beyond its limits, it looks like, to try and catch Sean ahead. 9.9 behind the leader, of course. This is behind the leader. And Ollie's saying he was 1 mile an hour over the limit, and well, that's all the difference. It really is all the difference. Fastest lap at the moment was Ollie, 1:11.2. So at the moment, Ollie, you've got that to hold on to, but we've got 15 laps more of racing. I can't see that standing for too long. But now we go back to the intervals between each car, and as you can see, Spike is 4.4 behind Sean, Lighty 5.4 behind Spike, Mays 4.9 behind Lighty. So Yuzi then is the closest battle. So Yuzi and Mays here as they run now down towards turn 9. And is Yuzi closing on Mays? Well, it's 1.6, and it really is just sort of stabilised around 1.6. It's sort of waiting for someone to make a mistake. There's yellow flags in sectors 2 and 3. Not quite sure who that was, but whoever it was, it's gone now. There's Plaster making his way now in towards turn 10, and on the run now down towards turn 11. Currently 8th place at the moment, and trying to show McLaren why they signed him. Plaster coming back into a full-time role ever since Ferrari signed him as a reserve for the end of the season as a sort of backup. The Mikasalo role, I think they call it. But he's now signed with McLaren then. So he's driving one of their classic cars in preparation for the new season. Dave M then making his way now through turn 9 and on towards turn 10. And I have to say, I personally love these cars. I personally love the MP4-23. Great car to drive as you now head in towards turn 12. Usually there on Mays, it's 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. It just changes between those two at the moment. But usually now making his way through turn 10, down towards turn 11, and then through turn 12. 1.7 the gap is now, so make our way now into that braking zone of turn 12. Full throttle now all the way through the fast left-handers here. So we have 13 laps to go here at Brazil. As Yuzi now makes his way down towards turn 1, looking to try and put pressure on Mays then for that 5th place spot. Let's have a look at some of the other drivers out there. There is Sean then in 2nd place. Obviously it's signed for Ferrari. There's Spike in 3rd. Signed for Mercedes. Lighty though hasn't got a team next season. My assumption is he's going to drop to a reserve next season. So he'll be. I'm sure he'll be in and around season 14. That's for sure. Mays then, who signed for Ferrari. Looking to try and make those consistent point finishes and push himself now. That's what Ferrari are expecting of him. Usually they're in the Toro Rosso for next season. Looking to try and show Red Bull what they're missing out on. Graham, I believe... you see, with a new season comes the new teams. So Graham then also in the Toro Rosso. I forgot it's an all-Scottish Toro Rosso. That's right. Plaster then, as we've mentioned, is driving that orange McLaren next season. Crazy Legs will be joining up with Recon in the Haas. So finished off his stint with Ferrari. Now he's got the Haas drive. Alan Kay then will be driving for the Alfa Romeo. Of course, he has ties with the team before, and making his way now in through turn 3. He's had ties with the team before when they were formerly known as Sauber. They'll be known as Alfa Romeo from season 14. That's a big team news change. As well as Force India, they've changed to Racing Point. Just Racing Point. So that's going to be a bit of a difficult habit to get out of, calling them Racing Point and Alpha. So that'll be a challenge. But no one else has really changed. So that's a start. Usually then is closing in on Mays as we head up towards turn 10. 1.2 the gap is now between them. As you see, they run through turn 11 and towards turn 12. And if you've noticed, I've been saying the word runs down or runs up or runs through. I do apologise. I don't know why I'm saying that recently, but usually there, going through the last left-handers there. 1.2 the gap. As he looks to just try and put Mays under that pressure. Once again, 11 laps to go here at the Brazilian Grand Prix. And usually it looks like he's good through the corners actually. Trying to close in on Mays. 1.1 now the gap. Usually is just trying to close that gap bit by bit now. As he now makes his way up towards turn 6 now. And let me know what you think of onboard angles, by the way. They've been like this for some time, but do you fancy a different angle for season 14? Let me know. Less field of view, more? Would you like to see more of the car or more of the track? I mean, I'd say it's your suggestions. I won't necessarily take them on board, but I'd love to hear what you think. Here they come now towards turn 12. And Yuzi here will be trying to make use of the slipstream. He'll get a little bit now, but the closer he gets, the better that slipstream is going to get. Just over a second separates them now, with 10 laps to go. And Daven does have a comfortable gap then. But remember, there's penalties to add on at the end of the race. Of course, it's just me on my own, so I can't really check those, as usually we'll no doubt get a warning for that one. As we head through turn 3, on the run towards turn 4, you can see the sun is really shining here. There are those clouds, though, that are making some parts of the track a little bit colder than most. In general, the track looks really good out there, it looks really quick as well. As we head up the hill towards turn 6, looks like everybody's just sort of settled down and ready to just see what everybody else does. There's a bit of fuel saving maybe going on. Of course, there's no refueling in these cars, so making these cars last, half distance on a tank of fuel will be a bit of a challenge. They weren't designed to do that. But we head now towards the final corner, or at least the final braking zone, and up the hill we go. A spike down 111.1 from the runner-up in season 13. So the 110s are definitely possible. As usually heads across the line, sets a 111.6. That's his personal best of the race so far. As he does his best to try and close in on Mays ahead of him. Still around about a second the gap between the two of them. As we head now down towards turn 4. Well, Mays there, looking to just focus on his own race, to just keep his head down. Up towards turn 6. And he's just keeping that gap around about a second at the moment. Which for him is going to be okay. Of course, there's no DRS, so that will help him out majorly. But the slipstream in these cars is going to be mega. Mays now goes through turn 11 towards the braking zone of turn 12, and then up the hill they go through the final few left-handers. Dave M then on lap 29 at the moment, which means we have 8 laps to go here in Brazil. As usually there, looking to try and close in on Mays. We've got yellow flags in sector 2. That is Alan Kay, who's taken out some Pirelli markers there. That is on the exit of turn 10. So Alan Kay will just be diving out of the way of Crazy Legs now. So Alan Kay is now a lap down on the entire field, which is a huge shame for him. But we saw there in quick succession, not sure who else got it, but we know for sure Dave M has got himself a 3-second time penalty as yellow flags in sector 2. Yeah, I wonder if that's Alan Kay. No, it's not. No, don't know who that was in sector 2. But whoever they were, the yellow flag has quickly cleared, and we're back onto green flags on all parts of the circuit. Usually there has really closed in on Mays then. The gap is now 0.6 of a second on the run towards turn 10 here. As we head through turn 11, on towards turn 12. Usually here it's got really close now to Mays. 7 laps to go here. Turn 12 is a crucial part of the circuit. You've really got to get your apexes nailed down there. As Maze here looking to try and defend. 0.6 of a second is the gap, but Yusi's going to have a little bit of slipstream here. That might increase his top speed just slightly. You can see Yusi's closing in with the slipstream. Down towards turn 1 we go. Wasn't quite close enough, but through the centre S's, he's got to keep his car nice and composed here. You can see still in that slipstream of Maze. That's going to be his friend at the moment. Coming now down towards turn 4. And then we're going through turn 5, up the hill towards turn 6. And Maze there is looking to try and keep Yusi behind him. It's not going to be easy, of course, as we head through turn 8. Riding on board now with the Scotsman in Yusi. Up the hill through turn 10. And we'll be able to see here what's Yusi's exit like down through turn 11 and then through turn 12. Looks pretty good at the moment. Of course, he's using that little bit of AstroTurf on the right hand side to widen the entrance into the corner, allow him to carry a bit more speed through. 6 laps to go then here at Brazil. And Maze there is already looking to try and defend the inside line. On the run towards turn 1. And Maze here, it looks like he's braking a little bit earlier than Yusi. Yusi's managed to close the gap a little bit, but now he's picked himself a 3-second time penalty for trying to just make a track of his own there. But still 0.6 down. He'll want to get this move done out on track, that's for sure, as we head towards turn 4. I guarantee you, the moment I switch away from this battle, a position change is going to happen. I guarantee it. But we're going to move away for just a second there. There is Lighty in 4th place, 2.9 behind Spike. That gap seems to be increasing though for now. But at the moment, Lighty has a chance if he catches Spike. It's an outside chance, but there is a chance. There's Graham then, who's currently 13.6 behind. Dave M has just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:10.6. Mega lap time from Dave then, so he definitely means business at the moment. And there is your race leader, but then Spike, sorry, it was 1:10.8, my apologies. Now Spike goes quicker, 1:10.7. So, well, Spike here is not giving up on this one. He's 8.6 behind Sean. Let's have a look at the fastest laps of the race then. You can see, of all the finishers, everyone has gained, really, those who have changed positions, they've all gone up a position at least. And anyone who hasn't has held their qualifying position. So, not often you see that, actually. But there you go. People have made one stop, so that's interesting to know. Fastest lap of the race, there you go. Dave M was 1:10.774. Spike then 1:10.725. Finest of margins, but at the moment Spike has the A logo fastest lap of the race award. Usually still trying to chase down Maze ahead of him as we head towards turn number 10. Yellow flags in sector 1. I wonder who that is. Have a look at the gaps here between each of them. Is it crazy? It is Crazy Legs who was in trouble there on the exit of the Senna S's, and well, he's recovered at the moment. No damage on that car, so he can live to just try and go for it, try and fight again. He's 25 seconds now behind Plaster, so in 4 laps that looks like it's going to be out of the question, but you never know, stranger things have happened. And Yuzi still trying to chase down Maze, and sometimes it can be frustrating when you've got a car here that's pretty much equal to each other. Even in the slipstream, you just can't quite close the gap. You're never close enough to try and make a move, and that is frustrating. That gets more and more frustrating as the race goes on. As we now head through turn 6 and 7 and into the braking zone of turn 8 now. Usually still trying to find some pace, just trying to find a way past. But first, he's got to try and find a way to get right onto the gearbox of Maze, because at the moment it hasn't really been possible. Dave M then starts lap 34. We have 3 laps to go here in Brazil, and the gap is coming down, but Sean, 4.6 behind, the gap's not coming down quick enough for Sean to try and mount some sort of challenge. Spike then in 3rd place at the moment, 9 seconds behind Sean, but remember, he has penalties. I think most of the top 4 do as well. So you've got to bear that in mind as we head towards the final couple of laps. Dave M here will just be hoping he can push as hard as he can. You can see there that yellow fuel indicator is flashing on and off, which means that Dave M just about has enough fuel to get to the end of the race. And that looks like some cars behind him. I wonder who that is. That looks like the latest car to be lapped. So at the moment that looks like it's going to be Crazy Legs. And let's see if that theory is right. It is. It is Crazy Legs. He's now heading through 11 and down towards turn 12. And Larson now gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Bumper ball with Yuzi here. He's gone onto the back of Mays, onto that rear wing. Now can he stay there? It's all important now that he stays on the back of Mays. Moves the back end slightly on the exit of 9. In towards 10 now. And then as we head through turn 11 on towards turn 12. Lap 35 started by Dave. Penultimate lap of this race. Up the hill we go then with Yuzi. And he is closer to Mays than he has been all battle long. He's in the slipstream and is looking to try and make a move. Will he try it down towards turn 1? He's got to be careful with that fuel as well. Look how much he's closing now as we head towards turn 1. But still, not close enough to try and move. So Yuzi stays behind for now, but he's looking to just put that pressure on Mays. And just to see what he can do. If he can just try and lull Mays into a mistake maybe. On the run towards turn 4. And you can see there, he's still right on the back then. Dave M making his way around the final couple of corners. And he'll be making his he'll be starting his final lap very, very shortly. As he goes up the hill now. In towards the final couple of corners. 3.4 now the gap between himself and Sean. So whatever Sean's doing, it's working at the moment. Faster lap was a 1:11.1, so either Dave M has backed off to try and save some fuel, or Sean's going for it here. Either way, Sean is 3.4 behind, but Dave has started the final lap of the race in the lead. And making his way now down towards turn 4. He might win on track, but remember there's penalties to add on from race control. There is Sean in the background, and there's Crazy Legs in between the two of them. And as Dave M now heads up the hill towards turn 6. Didn't quite grab pole position. Grabbed second place, in fact. But Ollie not getting the greatest start. Then retiring later on. Aussie was trying to chase down Dave M. He didn't quite decide it, but it let Dave M take it a little bit more easily. As he now heads towards turn 10. As we head now with him through turn 11 and towards turn 12. Now, will the penalties he have let him claim the Classic Cup as he makes his way up the hill now? He's done all the hard work out on track. But will he be able to take the race win here at Brazil? He makes his way towards the line to take the checkered flag. And on track, Dave M wins the race. It's been a great drive from him. Can Sean jump him? He's lost out by 0.2 of a second. He had 3 seconds less worth of penalties and loses out by 0.2 of a second. Spike makes his way across the line then. He will take third place. And Lighty here will jump in Spike. Into third place he goes. And Mays then will be making his way across the line. He finishes 5th ahead of Yuzi there, who finishes in 6th. Graham will be making his way up the hill towards the final couple of corners. He's going to come across the line in 7th place. Good result from Graham then. And what can he do then? Making his way across the line, and he will finish in 7th place. There's Plaster then in 8th place. He'll be the first of the lead, last of the lead lappers to finish the race. But your Classic Cup winner for season number 13, Dave M, wins it by 0.2 of a second. Well, Dave M there winning the Classic Cup. And it puts himself onto the honours list for good. Dave M then wins the Season 13 Classic Cup. So we await then the official, unofficial results from Season 13 Classic Cup. Everybody got at least one penalty. But there we are then. Dave M wins the race. Sean is in second. Lighty third with Spike in fourth. Maze in fifth. Yuzi in sixth. Graham in seventh. Plaster in eighth. Crazy Legs in ninth. Alan Kay rounding out the top 10. Non-finishers Ollie and George Roberts, who both crashed out of the race. Well, that will wrap it up then for Season 13 and the coverage for it. The next time you'll see me is, I believe, on, well, if you want to watch me race, it's Tuesday night here on the channel. Make sure you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're notified every time we go live. And if you want to see me commentate again, well, I'll be on here on Thursday to cover the TTG F1 series. A short 4-round mini-series covering our gap towards F1 2019 and towards Season 14 as well. Thank you for tuning in for Season 13. If you've made it this far, it's been an absolute pleasure to be commentating over this. Absolute pleasure to be chosen, and absolute pleasure to be given the reins on this one, no matter how many times I screw up. Be it thumbnail or, well, doing Murrayisms. Who knows what I'll do next, but hopefully you can join me again next season, and maybe you'd like to watch me race on a Tuesday. Who knows? Who knows? It's entirely up to you. Make sure you follow the league on Twitter at TTL_F1 on Twitter. You can also follow me whilst you're there. It's at KSMCGF1. Until next week and until next Thursday, I've been Kieran McGinley. You've been watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.